Remember how in my last video I said I wanted to talk about Owlman? And remember how in my last video I said that I refused to talk about the Batman who laughs? Well, as fate would have it, partly because I want to treat myself and partly because I hate myself, I'm going to be talking about both characters. Before I go further, I want to quickly talk about why I chose not to include these and others in the last video. My previous video was talking about a very specific niche of anti-Batman. Ones that not only mirror him personally, but mirror him in terms of tactics, costume, motive, so on and so forth. So please, if I get one more comment about how the real anti-Batman is Bane or Joker or freaking Deathstroke, I'm gonna scream, please, God, stop! While I already sang my praises about Owlman in the last video, the reason why I followed it up by saying I didn't want to talk about the Batman who laughs isn't because he's complicated or convoluted or anything, even though all of that is true, probably. The reason I said I didn't want to is because I don't like him. Yeah, it might be a divisive take depending on who you are, but I don't really like the Batman who laughs.
He stinks, and I don't like him.
Sure, he might look cool, and sure, he got really powerful at some point, which, like, who cares? But overall, he's just a shallow character. And once you get into the meat of him, you realize that he's just cold steel if he was a Batman character.
Nothing personal, kid!
Cold steel, Batman!
But obviously, I'm not just going to tell you all these things without explaining why I feel that way. So, we're going to take a look at why the Batman who laughs is the Batman who tries too hard, and how Owlman is basically just him but better in every single way. Which isn't saying much, because the former sucks. So, let's talk about the Batman who laughs. The Batman who laughs first appeared in the Dark Knight's Metal event back in 2017, where he and multiple other Batman from the Dark Multiverse were invading Earth Prime. In the Dark Multiverse, everything sucks, everyone's gonna die, and all the people in it are glorified creepypastas of beloved characters with the amount of horror and creativity that match the capacity of a wet fart. And on Earth 22, we have the wettest fart of them all. Belongs in the trash. His origin comic opens up with admittedly a pretty cool monologue about stories and cards. Though that's probably the highest praise I can give the whole thing. Our story opens up on Gotham City in flames and Batman tied up, as Joker is blowing up hospitals and killing all sorts of people, including the likes of Jim Gordon and all of Batman's villains. Which I don't need to even explain how I find that dumb. There are tons of villains in Batman's rogues gallery who are either smarter than Joker, stronger than Joker, or sometimes all of the above. How did he slaughter all of them at once? More on the torture porn, Joker is killing a bunch of kids' parents in Crime Alley to mimic Batman's trauma, and... Can I just say something real quick? I think that this one-shot just kind of echoes a lot of the problems about Joker in modern comics. A lot of the time now, he's just shock value torture porn schlock churning out a bunch of nothing burger stories. And a lot of what Joker's doing in this comic, to me, is just kind of echoing that and cranking it up to 11. In any case, Batman breaks out of his confines and starts wailing on Joker before finally snapping his neck, causing Joker's famous Joker juices to leak from his mouth and turn into vapor. I'm sure that's not important, right? Afterward, Batman and Superman talk about Joker's death, as Batman reassures Superman that he's not going to go down a dark path and give Joker the satisfaction of becoming a repeat killer. Additionally, all the children Joker orphaned who have been infected by his Joker juices and have now turned into Joker Juniors. It seems they're all far gone, and like biting people's tongues off, and upon learning this, Batman lets out a little giggle, like a chronically online 4chan user looking at gore. Later on, we cut to Nightwing, Batgirl, Red Robin, and Red Hood. We're going through a grueling and dangerous training protocol that has lasted for 3 hours straight. Batman explains that Joker's juices have infected his mind, and have slowly started to rewire Batman's moral core with Joker's. That's something I don't really buy, as the whole thing about Joker is that the reason he's the way that he is comes from a certain breaking point, like one bad day was what made him who he was. The only thing chemicals really caused for Joker at the end of the day was give him a Michael Jackson makeover. The Bat family offers their support as Batman says that their help is not why he's brought them to the Batcave. They would be the first to act if Batman were to ever start acting strange or changing. And they would be the first who would attempt to stop him, something Batman says he can't allow, before pumping them all with lead. You mean to tell me that the Bat family, people who have been trained to be master detectives, martial artists, tacticians, people who have just heard from Batman that he is slowly becoming a psycho murderer, didn't bring them to the Batcave for their help, and cannot allow their interference while he's turned around and slowly reaching for something in his cape, and they don't dodge out of the way? Don't think to catch Bruce off guard while his back is turned? Don't do anything other than, like, take it? You really want to know what would actually happen in this scenario?
Uh-oh, Bruce is clearly reaching for a weapon and acting crazy. We better dodge out of the way like we're supposed to.
So after he 4v1s the Bat family, it cuts to him killing the Justice League? Off screen? I'm sorry, but you can't be serious. The whole Batman wins with prep time is bullshit. No matter how prepared Batman is, if Batman just started killing a bunch of members of the Justice League, someone's eventually gonna get the upper hand. Especially since, if Batman had just started to slaughter them in a streak within the Watchtower, wouldn't he get overwhelmed by someone eventually? Someone like Flash, Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, basically like, I don't know, anyone? Who does he think he is? Omni-Man? Before finishing off Superman, Batman reveals that he brought Lois and John up to the Watchtower, which, if Lois and John had gone missing before Superman arrived there, wouldn't he know pretty quickly? I'm pretty sure he would catch on if Batman kidnapped his family, and let alone started his whole murder spree in the first place, given his little Joker slip-ups in their last encounters. And not only that, but he had managed to corrupt Damian, as well as turn all the Jokerized orphans into a bunch of his own Dark Robins. It's actually quite similar to how DC somehow brainwashed everyone into thinking that this guy is cool. So then, like, Batman just kind of chucks some modified black kryptonite at Superman, and then both he and John kill Lois off screen or something. I don't know, man. I'm tired of talking about this stupid story. The Baboon Who Large then goes on to talk about how he managed to destroy everything and everyone thrown at him, whether it be heroes, villains, alien tyrants, which implies that his body count also includes Darkseid or something, which, come on, are you kidding me? Afterwards, he's approached by Barbados, who asks him to join his pirate crew in search of the One Piece, which just means destroying Earth Prime or something. Then after that, the Batman Who Laughs story just includes a bunch of spectacle stuff and blah 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 Nth Metal, blah 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 Secret Six, blah 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 James Gordon, blah 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 Perpetua, blah 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 Multiverse Who Laughs, blah 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 Dr. Manhattan Who Laughs, blah 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 Darkest Night, blah blah blah. I don't care. Then he's finally killed by a Wonder Woman who throws him into the sun. Thank God. The Batman Who Laughs was the kind of character you thought was cool for like a total of 2 seconds. He's got a serviceable look, a cool on paper gimmick, and a lot of spectacle. But at the end of the day, spectacle is all he really is. The Batman Who Laughs is never really able to tell a truly compelling story outside of just, "Ooh, I'm evil" shock value, or glazing himself and god modding to make him look like the most powerful guy ever. Wally West himself literally even calls him the Batman who tries too hard, because that's exactly what he is. He's a man who tries way too hard to be cool. All of his extravagant events and storylines and scales are just compensating for a bland, one-note character. He's all bark and no bite. All style, no substance. And all that style was literally just stolen from a Judge Dredd character.
He copied my whole fucking flow! Word for word, bar for bar!
The writers took the concept of what if Batman killed the Joker and executed it in probably one of the most shallow action figure bait stories ever. In fact, I might even just go on a limb here and say that the Batman Who Laughs is literally just Sonic.exe of the Batman mythos. Both are corrupted characters that turn evil, both somehow kill everyone in their world with minimal effort, and both are try-hard edgelord schlock that are written like dog water, and they're somehow also very oversaturated for whatever reason. At the end of the day, the Batman Who Laughs is the kind of character that people will only like if you're like an edgy 13-year-old or a power-scaling glazer. I'm just so sick of talking about this idiot. And I'm so sick of people gassing him up like he's the coolest thing ever, when he's just the textbook definition of mid. Someone, please, someone just end it already. I'm tired. Just do it already. I can't do it anymore. I just want to die.
Hey, you can talk about the better character now.
Wait. I can? Owlman, my goat, my glorious king, the gracious lord who hath brought me salvation. For everything I've criticized the Batman Who Laughs about, they do not apply to Owlman. Depending on the interpretation, that is, because... oh my god, there are so many of them. DC, why can't you be consistent with Earth 3, you Owlman is the true dark reflection of Batman. The twisted mirror image of the worst version of Bruce Wayne. In many versions, which is pretty much most of them if we're being honest, Owlman isn't Bruce Wayne, but rather his brother. Thomas Wayne Jr.! But they're pretty much the same character anyhow, so it's not really like it really matters in the long run. Like I said, there are many different versions of Owlman, because DC really does not like to be consistent when it comes to Earth 3. Rightfully so, because it took a long time to find its footing, and to this day, kinda still struggles to find its bearings, and hit the right mark. But when it cooks, it cooks. As a result of this, Owlman has many differing origin stories. Some good, some being real stinkers. I'm looking directly at you, New 52. I am literally looking into your soul. I am looking into your very core and reminding you that Thomas Wayne Jr. killing his parents because he thinks they're using their money wrong is stupid. As a result of this, though, I'm gonna try to have to find a version of Owlman that really showcases why he's such a great character and a great foil to Batman.
Around. Every now and then I get a little bit terrified, and then I see the look in your eyes.
Turn around, bite eyes. Every now and then I fall apart.
And I need you now tonight, and I need you more than ever. And if you only hold me tight, we'll be holding on forever.
I'm gonna be sticking to the version of Owlman that was introduced in the Crime Syndicate miniseries written by Andy Schmidt, as well as the adaptation of Owlman seen in the Crisis on Two Earths animated movie. I'm doing both, as I think those versions are pretty similar enough, the former pretty much being heavily inspired by the latter in a couple of ways. So, without further ado, let's get right into it, starting with Owlman's origin story introduced at the end of Crime Syndicate number 2. After seeing his parents and brother murdered in an alleyway by corrupt police officer Harvey Bullock, Thomas Wayne Jr. begins training around the world to physical and mental perfection in order to begin his war on crime and the corrupt, just like Bruce Wayne did in our world. As opposed to the bat flying into his window, however, the right side of Thomas's face was scratched by the talons of an owl, providing his own furry awakening, as well as giving him an idea onto his very own fursuit. After becoming the Owlman, he tracked down Harvey Bullock and was ready to turn him in for his crimes, which included the murder of his family. However, Harvey Bullock revealed that he had to kill them, as the Waynes were secretly corrupt and had murdered Boss Gordon's son in an attempt to take over. Owlman realized that his entire life purpose of bringing justice to an unjust world was built on a lie, as he, for his entire life, believed that his family were innocent people that were killed by the criminal element. But the revelation that his parents were, in truth, corrupt murderers, completely shakes his worldview as he realizes everything he's worked towards has been for nothing. At that point, Thomas completely snaps, completely giving up on any morals or ideals that he had before, as he lets Bullock plummet from a skyscraper, as in his words, he now knows that nothing matters. This is the perfect origin story for someone like Owlman. I'm very much fascinated and technical about morality swap universes, so I was a little apprehensive at first about him trying to be a crime fighter from the get-go at first. But I think that in this origin story, that idea is pulled off incredibly well, and it shows that he didn't start Breaking Bad without reason. It's sure as hell a lot more interesting than, ooh, Thomas Wayne Jr. thinks his parents are using their money wrong, so, kills him because an 8 or 10-year-old could only just do that. Yeah. I won't go into too much detail about the Crime Syndicate comic, as I recommend that you read it for yourself. But the whole thing is that after Owlman killed Bullock and discovered that he was actually a 4chaner, he basically controls Gotham from the shadows, employing the usage of his own Talon soldiers to keep control of Gotham and slaughtering any and every hero that gets in his way, keeping their corpses as trophies in the Owl's Nest. And eventually, after the invasion of Starro and the defeat of the Legion of Justice, he joins forces with the likes of Ultraman and Superwoman, which is a really stupid name for an evil Wonder Woman, by the way, in creating the Crime Syndicate. Now, since we have the basics of the Crime Syndicate covered, I think it's time we talk about the appearance of Owlman that is the most well-known, which is for good reason. Let's talk about Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, a personal favorite of mine. And boy, their version of Owlman is a doozy, and I have a lot to say about him. In Crisis on Two Earths, the Crime Syndicate are plotting to bomb the world with a giant super nuke, and to do so they need an obligatory MacGuffin called the Quantum Trigger. The bomb was initially meant to be used as ransom for the Crime Syndicate to take over the world, but as it turns out, Owlman has ulterior motives that only Superwoman knows about. He explains that every decision people make creates an alternate universe where they make the opposite choice. This fuels Owlman's nihilistic view on not only humanity, but reality as a whole. He says there's a world out there where he calls Earth Prime, not to be confused with, the actual Earth Prime. Earth Prime, in Owlman's eyes, is where all life originated, and he believes that if he destroys that Earth, then every other Earth will completely crumble. After Superwoman's goons hand Owlman the Quantum Trigger, and he travels to the coordinates of Earth Prime, Batman steps in a Johnny Quick flavored portal to try and stop him. Once he does, he finds Owlman on Earth Prime, with his big multiversal weapon with greater bomb proportions than the Flash movie. It's also stationed on a very conveniently placed platform. Was it on that platform by the time that Owlman got there? Because no way he's able to place the bomb all the way onto there, even though the image of that is really funny. Anyhow, as Batman arrives, Owlman prepares to give Batman a really fascinating monologue. I'm just going to let it play, as I probably wouldn't be able to do it justice with words.
Welcome to Earth Prime. Before there was thought, there was this place. One Earth, with a single history. But with the coming of man came the illusion of free will. And with that illusion came chaos. With every choice we make, We literally create a world. History branches in two, creating one Earth, where we made the choice, and a second, where we didn't. That's the secret of the universe, you know. Billions of people, making billions of choices, creating infinite Earths. Some so similar to each other you could spend a lifetime searching for any distinction. Others so radically different, they defy comprehension.
And all of the branches originate here.
Every version of reality balances precariously on this singular Earth. It seems so different from the Earths we know. I can't imagine what series of decisions led to this world hurtling out of its orbit. But I know this. The source of the cataclysm was the same as it always is. Man.
You can't be sure of that. Anything...
You know better. Man is a cancer, and I've chosen to cut out the disease.
You're talking about killing...
Everyone who ever lived, who ever will live. I choose to make the only possible real choice.
You're insane.
Does it really matter? There are alternate versions of me that you would find quite charming.
One thing I'd like to bring to light about this conversation is Owlman's emphasis on man and how it's a cancer. He of course talks about his nihilistic views on choice in alternate Earths, but what I think is most important when talking about Owlman's character is how he says that man is a cancer. And man is likely what brought Earth Prime to the ruin it is now. Making the ultimate real choice is definitely a part of Owlman's motivation, but I honestly think that it's more so a secondary motivation, or at least a motivation that's codependent of another one. Owlman doesn't just have a disregard for human life, he actively despises it, and despises humanity as a whole. The cosmic nihilism of the multiverse added only fuel to the fire, and made Owlman certain of how meaningless everything is. And as such, he's adamantly determined to bring the bomb the crime syndicate were going to use for blackmail, and use it to commit mass omnicide. The 1v1 continues, and Owlman frequently calls to attention the similarities they both have, when it comes down to tactics, attitude, costume, and general mannerisms.
If we're really alike, you know this is wrong. You must have been a good man once.
No, not good. Never good. After all, I'm only human.
Eventually, Batman manages to keep Owlman trapped to the bomb, and gets a hold of the teleporter, which gives us hands down one of the hardest Batman lines ever.
There is a difference between you and me. We both looked into the abyss. But when it looked back at us, you blinked.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's leaving! That's why he's leaving! Go!
There is so much to unpack with this fight. Everything that these two characters stand for is on display here. They are both complete reflections of one another. Two people that went through similar experiences but went down two different paths. But why exactly does this 4chaner doom-scrolling nihilist furry Rick and Morty fan work so well as Batman's ultimate dark reflection? It's about time we unpack it. So, to know why Owlman works so well, it's important to know the fundamentals of what makes up Bruce's character. We all know the surface level aspects of Batman. The Dark Knight of Justice, born from tragedy who strikes fear into the hearts of criminals. A brilliant tactician, detective, and a master combatant who's always one step ahead of his foes. But underneath the persona of Batman, Bruce Wayne at his core is someone who doesn't want anyone to go through what he did, and who doesn't want anyone to die if he can help it. The reason that he doesn't kill his worst enemies, no matter how much he may want to, isn't because he'd end up killing non-stop or something stupid like that. The real reason is that because of the senseless death of his parents, Bruce believes in the absolute sacredness of human life above absolutely anything else. Bruce, at his core, believes that everyone deserves a chance to live, no matter how wicked. He believes that everyone, at the very least, deserves a chance to try and be better, to try and allow the help that they so desperately need. And no matter how horrible and cursed Gotham is, Bruce never backs down on this belief. Batman's one true superpower is his indomitable willpower and compassion for human life. That, however, is absolutely not the case with Owlman. While Bruce's parents were killed by a desperate mugger, Thomas's family, which includes not only his parents but his brother, were killed by a corrupt police officer, someone who you would think upholds law, order, and justice. But despite this, Thomas tried to find that same sanctity in human life that Bruce did so that he could bring their killer to justice. But with the revelation that the Waynes were just as bad, if not worse than the man that ended their lives, every ounce of faith in humanity that Thomas had died that night. While Bruce finds human life to be sacred, Thomas actively despises it. He can find no good in humanity, as he does not believe that, at humanity's very core, the capacity for compassion or goodness can ever be found despite how one might pretend to have it. In his own words, he believes that man is a cancer, and as such, he dedicated the rest of his life as Owlman to finding a way to cut out the disease once and for all, to find that nothing that he craves. Batman fights to make sure that nobody has to go through the pain that he has, and so that they can live to see another day. But not Owlman. Despite what his more generic incarnations would leave you to believe, killing for Owlman isn't just a means to an end. His active pursuit is death and agony. He sees humans, even himself, as less than nothing. Not good, never good. And that line of thinking is ultimately what brings him to his permanent end.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, I talked about Owlman way longer than I talked about the Batman Who Laughs, huh? Well, that's probably just because talking about Batman's ultimate dark reflection that shows why his philosophy and values are so important, why showcasing what would happen if he chose the alternative path, is a lot more interesting than Batman getting terminal jokeritis and looking like a poor man's Cenobite.
The box. You opened it. I came.
Ultimately, long story short, is that the reason Owlman, or at least the version I chose of him, works, is that he isn't just an evil Batman. He is an interesting and in-depth opposite of everything that Bruce believes in, and it overall is just an actually compelling character with an interesting motivation. Meanwhile, the Batman Who Laughs is a glorified fanfiction. His entire character can be summed up as Batman if he kinshifted into Joker and became an e-boy. That's literally it. Owlman's battle of wits and values with Batman will always be more engaging than anything the Batman Who Tries Too Hard could come up with. As a matter of fact, you want to know something funny? In the Death Metal comic event, there was a comic in which the New 52 version of Owlman has captured Jon Stewart, and ruled that he was willing to help the hero stop Perpetua and the Batman Who Laughs, as he believed that it was him who was supposed to be the darkest mirror of Batman in the multiverse. But eventually, he comes to the realization that in the midst of every single crisis the multiverse has ever endured, Owlman has managed to survive each and every one of them, no matter how many times he dies. Ultimately, both Owlman and the Batman Who Laughs die in this event. Owlman dies shortly after his realization by taking Perpetua's towers down with him. And the Batman Who Laughs dies when Wonder Woman hurls him into the sun. And you know what the funny part is? Owlman was right. After the end of Death Metal, the Batman Who Laughs has never returned. And after Infinite Frontier, a new Earth 3 was created. And with it, Owlman had once again been reborn.
Stop smiling! You're about to die! You don't get to enjoy it!
Yes, I do. You see, I'm going to live forever as long as there's a Batman in this multiverse. There will be an Owlman, his true dark reflection. I'm too good an idea. But you, evil baby Batman from the dark multiverse with all your stupid rainbow Batman, you're a dumb idea. And nobody is going to remember you.
Please, I'm just a little...
So yeah, that was my video talking about Owlman and the Batman Who Laughs. The literal hydrogen bomb versus the coughing baby. I know I said last video I wasn't going to talk about the Batman Who Laughs, but that was kind of just a thinly veiled cover-up for me to eventually talk about the Batman Who Laughs when I wanted to and how much he sucks. Originally, Owlman and the Batman Who Laughs were going to have their own separate videos, but I thought it would have been a lot more fun if I just combined the two. And I think I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, I want to say thank you all for over 100k views on the last video. I'm really overjoyed with all the support I've been getting recently, and I cannot wait to continue to make content for you guys. If you guys have any video suggestions for me to cover, like anything that not a lot of other Batman creators talk about, please do let me know, because I would love to. So anyway, goodbye. I'll think of an outro when I feel like it. Bat Spectre out!